Good morning, my name is Sally Watts. It's my pleasure to be with you today. For those of you who don't know, and I remind those of us who do know, we stand on the land of the first people of Florence, the Siuslaw Indians. We honor and give thanks to that tribe, its members, the past, the present, and the future. And we give all due respect to this particular land, and we thank them for what they've provided for us. Blessed be. We're going to officially open our service today. Tuvi is going to lead us with his Spirit of Life on guitar. We invite you to rise as you are able. This is hymn number 123. The words are also in the program if you know the melody. And yeah, I guess Tuvi needs to come up here because he's got a... Don't you know how to play this yet? Without looking at the cheat sheet? Oh man, what do we pay you for? I don't know. Okay. So we're going to sing Spirit of Life. This is how we open our service every Sunday. Okay? Spirit of life, come to me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Thank you, Tuvia. So I remind everybody, if you would please, get out your cell phones, whatever device you have, make sure they're all on mute or off, whatever you have to do. And I wonder if there's anybody here today for the first time and you would like to stand and introduce yourself or be introduced by someone else. Barb, you want to introduce your brother-in-law? See, here we go. Barb McLean is back, everybody.
I am so happy to be back. Unfortunately, it's just this week. I'm closed. I sold my house in Green Trees and moving back to Minnesota to be with my very supportive family. But I will be coming back this summer for a visit, and of course coming here. I hope to stay a little bit longer when I come back this summer. And this is my wonderful brother-in-law, Malcolm, originally from the East Coast, but lives in Minnesota, the town I'm living in now. And I can't say that he's just been a wonderful brother-in-law.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of this precious cargo, okay? Barb, we shall miss you. We totally understand. Please know our thoughts and prayers and best wishes go forward for you.
Thank you. And
it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Being here on Sunday.
Yes. You know, I'd like to introduce, I'm going to say Roby is here, and Dorothy. I've known Roby for years from work in my previous life, and his friend Dorothy. So, welcome, welcome. You want to say anything, either one?
Thank you. Thank you for having doors open and having us here and be able to walk in and feel really comfortable. Everybody's been so nice, and we really appreciate the welcoming, making us feel so welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sally.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Roby attended to and has been a part of Dean Schrock's, some of his workshops, and that's how he found us here. So thank you, Dean. Anybody else here for the first time? You want to introduce? Holly, is this your first time?
It's my second time.
Okay, we're going to pretend it's your first time. Russ, you want to introduce your daughter? Russ is our guest speaker today, Russ Pierson.
Hi, I'm Russ Pierson.
Yes.
My wife Tammy is with me.
Yes, Tammy.
And this is our daughter Holly.
Hi.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I've got a gift. This is a book of haiku called Windows to a Light. It also has one of our famous bumper stickers and a little flyer about our particular fellowship for your reference. So please accept those as our token of thank you for being here. So, at this point, I'm going to ask that you just take just a few seconds, turn to the person next to you, in front of you, behind you, and just say good morning. Just good morning. It's good to reacquaint, isn't it? It's good to see people you haven't seen in a while. And maybe you've seen someone here for the first time and you met somebody for the first time. That's a good thing as well. Also, just reach out to anyone who wasn't here today that you notice that you might want to just call and say, hey, we missed you. Okay? It's a nice way to keep in touch. Thank you, Xana, today for being our official greeter. Where are you? Xana, yay! She's always looking for people who might want to help meet and greet, and we have an ever-popular clipboard that we're passing around. You too can show up on a Sunday morning about 9:30 and help meet and greet people as they come in. Isn't that a nice thing to do? Yes, I love that. So following today's service, Catherine Hebbins will be available for spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer, and probably off to the side or in the library, just look for her, okay? And Russ Pierson will stay around a little bit, and if you want to talk more with him about his message today, which will be fabulous, by the way, he will be here to meet and greet and talk further. We really appreciate that. So in the program, you'll notice we have some birthdays coming up. Right side, we have Ruth Bromrocker's birthday coming up. Yes. Nid Babo, Don Gardner, Deborah Larson, Barb McLean, Jean Hunter, Karen Earnshaw, and Karen Cooper, in sort of chronological order, who's first, second, third, fourth, right? So be sure you send them a hello and wish them a happy birthday, okay? In today's program is a list of the upcoming birthdays I just mentioned, as well as today, this afternoon, is this forum that Mark Levy has put together, which has got an incredible array of speakers and a wonderful program at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church off of Spruce in 19. So, and that's where Foof used to meet for many years. So it's kind of a kindred spirit for us. So show up 2 to 4 at St. Andrew's and be a part of the climate change. What can we do? And speaking of that, we have our guest speaker next week is Ruth Miller's daughter. Her name is Aurora Miller, and she's going to continue the discussion on climate change. So be with us next Sunday as we bring to you some more information and a lively discussion afterwards about how Foof can be a part of this as well. So we're all in this together, right? Are there any other announcements that anyone wishes to share? Deborah, did you see my names on the bottles already? So you want to come forward?
Yeah, I'll just stand over here if that's okay. But one of our ministers, Donna Smith, in her day job is the accountant for Abyssella Winery.
What a job.
Over in the Umpqua Valley, which is an award-winning winery. And she has very kindly donated 2 cases of fine wines to Foof as a fundraiser. You will find them right over here. They range in price from $19 to $34. And if you need a gift idea for your Valentine, which is coming up, there are also some gift bags over there that you can get to get a bottle of wine. So anybody who wants to purchase any, just see me after services.
And you'll take cash or a check payable to Foof, is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
So I put my name on 2 of those bottles,
Okay.
just so you know. That's the benefit of getting here early. Xana?
Okay, well, you preempted me with the clipboard.
The clipboard.
I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be out for who knows how long, starting next Sunday. So I want to make sure we're covered with greeters. Thank you all so much who have signed up to do this. It's fun, right?
Yep.
And you get to see everybody as they walk through the door, and if appropriate, give them a hug. And just, we want to be always a welcoming congregation. So this is a very important part of what we do. So I am going to pass the clipboard. We're covered up until the 27th of February. I need somebody to,
Yay!
for the 27th of February, and then it goes right on into March and April. Also on the clipboard is a list of reminders of what your duties are as a greeter. It's not anything difficult. But
You need to smile and say hello and good morning.
Well, get here early to fold
Right.
the programs and all that. So here comes the clipboard. Thank you all for your cooperation, and we look forward to many more Sundays of greeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Santa, and all the best on your surgery.
Thank you.
Yes, Ray?
Yes. I just wanted to tell everybody, I found out on Friday that our hospital here is able to give monoclonal antibody shots.
Wow.
You have to be qualified for them, and usually it's because you're immune compromised. And I was actually able to get one Saturday morning. And it's like 2 jabs in the butt, and that's it. And the after effects I have are kind of like the booster shot, where you feel like crap for half a day, and, you know, but other than that, nothing. And so your doctor has to sign off on it. So if you're immune compromised or any problems like that, keep it in mind.
That's a good thing to know. Yay, peace, health. Yay, I love that. Thank you. Anyone else? You know, I'm asked to just share with you, you know, we don't mean to be really strict and mean, but we really do ask that you keep your masks on all times, which makes it rather difficult to have a beverage or food, which is why we ask you to refrain from eating or drinking while we're in here. Hopefully you can do that for an hour and it won't present any problems. With the exception of our guest speakers who are up here and might need a little beverage to sip on, and they're unmasked anyway. Okay, so thank you. Really appreciate that. I'm inviting Catherine to come up forward as we light our chalice. This is by Vanessa Williams, who is a biracial, first-generation African-American, pansexual, and disabled individual. She attended Smith College for a BA in philosophy and sociology, and Wheelock College for an MS in organizational leadership before finding Unitarian Universalism. I know. In lighting this chalice, we cast upon it our hopes and intentions for all that is positive in our minds and in our hearts. May this precious light shine on. Thank you. And now I ask Catherine to come on back up for our joys and concerns. So be ready if you have a joy or a concern that you want to share. Get ready.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So the theme today is widening the circle. How do we do this in joys and concerns? By really listening to each other. By knowing that each sorrow, concern, triumph, and successful passage has been experienced by you or will be experienced by you. This is the human condition. How much compassion we have is how we live our highest octave at the same time we deal with the particulars of this physical incarnation. The personal and the transcendent, when combined with compassionate action, brings peace. Now, most of you know the routine here. If some, line up around this side, Sally will hand you the microphone and she will drop a shell, or you can drop your own shell, in the cleansing water.
Well, I have a great joy to share today. For those of you who are new, a little background. There used to be a beauty shop down at the end of this building, and the beautician retired. So we picked up the lease on the south end of the building with the vision of expanding FOOF into this whole building. And it turned out, that was quite some time ago, but it turned out to be a much more complex project than any of us ever imagined. So it's been dragging on. It feels like forever. But just this last week, we finally completed the research phase and had our plans all completed and prepared, and we're able to turn them into the building department on Thursday. So our permit is being processed. If things go smoothly from here, they will, of course. We expect to start construction in late March, and it should take a month or two.
Drop a shell, please.
Maybe a couple.
Yes. Thank you, Deborah. Congratulations. Congratulations, everybody. Come on up, Kathy.
Well, my joy is...
Put the microphone up to your face.
Oh, I don't think of that. Anyway, I have sold my shop, my business.
No way.
And as of February 1st, I will not be working there.
Okay.
I had a phone call in October, and the woman said, are you interested in selling your shop? I drive by there every day, and I moved up here a few months ago. And so I've been working with Eden for 3 months. And Lo's mom is giving me this look. And Eden ruined her last time, so don't worry about it. Anyway,
Tell people what your business is.
oh, dog grooming, village
Dog grooming.
village grooming, yeah. So I just really feel good about it. I've worked with her for 3 months, and she has a large family, a lot of children, and that's going to be her family business.
Congratulations. You want to drop a shell in the water? Congratulations, Kathy. Joining the ranks of the retired?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on up, Julia.
I have a joy that goes perfectly with the beautiful sunshine and warm day that we're having today. It was so gratifying on Monday to see the turnout we had for voter reform. Obviously, the job is not done yet, but we will get it done. And I went home and I thought, well, how can I sum this up? Let's come together with strength and unity. Let's come together, you and me and we, hand in hand, in harmony. If it is to be, it is up to we.
Woo! I love that. Can I share a joy about yesterday?
Absolutely.
So we had our 5th annual Women's March here in Florence and around the country, right? I think we had about 75 people here yesterday. It was a great time. Nin Babo, who started this whole Women's March here in Florence through the organization called FOR, gave a beautiful presentation about everything that we should be for, Mitch McConnell, not something else. What are you for? So it was a wonderful time, wonderful march, and I was glad to be a part of it. I had a small part, and it was my pleasure to be there with that. That's my joy. And I have another, I'm not sure what it is. I love the Green Bay Packers. I just do not like what's his name? Aaron Rodgers. I almost hesitate to even use his name anymore. I am so disappointed in his actions about the anti-vaxxing and his inability to apologize and take a better stand about it. He's lost all my respect, and I feel bad about that. I don't want to do that, but it just ruined the game for me yesterday. And I just...
Let's hear it for the 49ers.
Let's hear it for the 49ers. Go 49ers. They beat the Packers 4 times in a row in the playoffs.
In the snow yesterday.
In the snow.
Yes.
So please help me see through this. I don't want to hate this guy forever, but... Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so anyone else? Anyone else? You know, she can bring the microphone to you if you don't feel like coming up. Some people don't. Okay, there you go. Barbara.
I just want to introduce you to my sister and my nephew. for Saturday. And I couldn't have gotten through all these health challenges this past year without my very supportive and loving family. Thanks, Ellen.
Family is good. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thanks for taking care of Barb for us when we couldn't do that, okay? I think that's all I have.
Okay, one more though, one more for all the people we don't know. The ones sitting in silence, the ones too shy, the ones that just don't think they can make their way up here, the ones that are at home. A show for them. You are in our circle of love and compassion. And Diana, you have something to add?
I was just going to say, you might want to update people in Raymond.
Ah, yes, okay. So Rayma, as I was telling you last week, we thought she was going into rehab. We were so happy she was out of ICU and all of that. But guess what? Lo and behold, they decided to just jettison her out back to her home. So she is there, she is home, she is recovering, and I've seen her a couple times and spoken to her every day, and I mean, it's kind of those miracles, you know, that happen, that, you know, we don't know what to call them, but it's true. So she's home, and she's happy, and the dog is back with her, Tack is back with her, and that's great. Yes, please, put a shelf for her. Thank you, Diana, for reminding me. Okay. So I conclude with a quote from Teilhard de Chardin. The age of nations is past. The task before us now, if we would not perish, is to build the earth within and without. Blessed be.
I need that for next week. Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I have an interesting responsive reading I'd like to ask you to share with me. If you will pick up your hymnal, on about the 5th page, not page 5, but go in about 5 pages. And on the left side you will see the title that says, where is it? It should say, "We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association." You see that on the left side? The first part of that are the 7 principles by which we abide. And I would like you each to read the first one, and I have a response for that, and then read the second one, and I have a response for that. Do you mind? So the first one, how does that read?
The inherent worth and dignity of every person
means respect guides us in all our interactions with anyone. Next.
justice, equity, and compassion in human relations
is determined by those without the privilege and power to establish the frameworks from which these are received.
acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation.
Requires all to actively engage in to ensure conditions are supportive for all to thrive.
A free and responsible search for truth and meaning
Is a challenging, ever-changing, all-encompassing call we must all answer.
the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large.
This is all about inclusive structures and communities that provide space for all.
The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all
Can only be reached through intentional co-liberation for all. And finally, respect
for the independent of all existence of which we are part.
asks us to remember that each and every creature is an embodiment of the love of the universe, and each of us must act accordingly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Going right now, Richard Jones is going to provide us with a musical interlude. I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this piece. Yeah, just get comfortable. I'll let him introduce it, and think about and just be with this music in whatever way you need to.
So,
Push that up. Richard, push it up. Push up. There you go.
this is an experiment. In my whole life of playing clarinet and saxophone, I've only played in front of an audience without any accompaniment twice in my life.
Wow.
This is actually the second time. And it's a challenge because when you're playing an instrument, you're never absolutely sure what's going to come out. You practice and you practice and you practice, and there's always some little flaw there. But my approach is I always try to play with heart and soul. And so I'm going to play What a Wonderful World for you. And I love the lyrics to this song. This was made quite popular. There was a classic, wonderful recording by Louis Armstrong.
Yes.
And that amazing voice that he has. I don't have it. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, a bright, blessed day, a dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. So, here goes.
So here it goes. Sit back, relax, think of those words, and enjoy this beautiful music and the man who is providing it.
Have to lick the reed first. Okay, it's working.
got heart, Richard, you got heart.
Okay. Richard, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing your talent with us. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Reverend Dr. Russ Pierson, whose message today is intentionally widening the circle of faith. By full disclosure, I've known Russ since the day he made his first and lasting impression 7 years ago while interviewing for the top position at our Florence LCC campus. His graciousness toward Jennifer and me got us hook, line, and sinker into adoring this particular man who is so incredible. He's graced our pulpit many times in the past, and it's my pleasure to have him back again. Please welcome my friend, our friend, Reverend Dr. Russ Pierson.
That means I get to take my mask off?
Yes.
Be careful, I have an ugly face. Shucks. How many of you have never heard me here at FOOF before? Several. Okay, good. How many of you wish you could leave right now? Very good. Well played. So, it is great to be back. This is actually my fourth time in those 7 years, and I have deeply enjoyed each and every visit. I have, for those of you who don't know, I have deep roots in the Christian tradition. And in fact, and this may shock you, most of my life I have been considered a part of the evangelical church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. So part of my mission on my first 3 visits was in no small part to serve as a kind of secret evangelical decoder ring for all of you to help understand that particular tribe from which I hail. But on this, my 4th visit, I intend to be a little more confessional at times, and so I'm sort of enlisting you all as a cohort of therapists. So put on your therapist cap, if you will. Ruth is here? There she is. So Ruth called me up and invited me to come back for this visit, and we had a conversation. She said, we've got some themes going on at FOOF, and this first quarter, you know, the themes are, I wrote them down: intention, widening the circle, and faith. And at the time, we were talking about me coming next week, but we have a little family obligation that came up, and Tammy and I are going to be out of town next week. So, you know, thankfully to Ruth and Sally and to Aurora Miller, we were able to swap Sundays. So I'm here on the 4th week of January. But it occurred to me, talking to Ruth, that, you know, with that, it was the only month in 2022 where there were 5 Sundays. I thought, well, that's interesting. It's sort of like this liminal little Sunday, and maybe we can talk about how those 3 things connect. So that's how this message kind of developed today. And, you know, with my evangelical ministerial background, of course I had to come up with 3 points that are alliterative. Just had to do it. So that's how we get to the 3 points today: intention, inclusion, and invitation.
Very good.
Okay, so let's talk about number 1, intention. A legitimate intention, I looked this up. You know, I'm an academic, so I know how to look stuff up in Wikipedia. A legitimate intention includes both content and commitment, an action plan and an attitude. It is both of those things. So a legitimate intention is the New Year's resolution we keep.
That's right.
Not just the resolution we make. So I want to get interactive for just a moment, and I want to hear from 3 or 4 of you. This isn't a rhetorical question. But I ask you to keep it brief, not too many commas and no semicolons, and a clear period at the end. But I'd like for 3 or 4 of you just to share for a moment, what are some of your intentions for yourself and your community in this particular season? What are your intentions for yourself and or your community in this season? Yeah.
My intention is to get more deeply involved with the community. Period.
Excellent. Yeah.
Full stop.
Awesome. That's a good intention. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
She's going to get more involved with the community. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
Someone else. Yeah.
This is appropriate. The courage to express myself.
Yes. And you just did.
I
Well
just
done.
did.
You've kept your intention. One more. Sally.
Well, last week we did our white stone ceremony with Donna Smith, where we talked about intentions for the next couple months. And one of mine was to choose, dare to choose. So I'm intentionally making choices instead of being led.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you, Sally. That's great. So you have the sense of what an intention is, and I know as a community you strive to be an intentional community. Let's talk about number 2. Inclusion. Inclusion. So here's where we get confessional. I'm a sad evangelical boy these days. In fact, I'm not sure the word can ever be redeemed. Evangelicalism has tragically become an exercise in exclusion in many parts of our nation. This is ironic to me, given that euangelion, which is a Greek word from which the word evangelical hails, literally means good news. That's what evangelical means, people who have some good news to share. And increasingly, the message of evangelical churches has become bad news.
Right.
If you're part of the LGBTQIA community and ever participated in an evangelical church, you know this deep in your soul, deep in your psyche, deep in your blood, your body, your bones. And I, on behalf of that tradition, I'm sorry, I apologize to you. It's not right. For many women in evangelical churches, it has become bad news too. For many black, indigenous, and other people of color, it has become bad news. And for many people in America who aren't evangelical, it has become bad news. So I stand before you today, incredibly sad to say that for much of the evangelical movement, exclusion has become an increasing ethic and a kind of badge of honor. Sometimes I fear that what being an evangelical has become in so many corners of the movement in the U.S. today is kind of a horrific stamp of approval on the authority of white, cisgendered males who have recited a magical incantation and believe that it means something, inviting Jesus into their hearts even as they live lives that make a mockery of Jesus' teachings.
Yes.
And that inconvenient truth, to cite an evangelical boogeyman, Al Gore, leads me to my third point this morning, and that's invitation. Evangelicalism has, I am sorry to say, often become a twisted game of survivor, where the point seems to be to vote as many people off the island as we possibly can. As I was thinking about this message today, I remembered something I've only heard, and I sought to find it in print so I could recite this little tale, and I could not find it, but I was intrigued by what I did find. There was a pretty well-known evangelical author who's still alive. His name is Max Lucado.
Yep.
And somewhere in the 90s, he was at some conference somewhere, and I had heard this secondhand, that he had this lovely little piece talking about two evangelical Christians meeting, and they met one another and they said, "So, you a Christian?" The guy says, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." "How about you? Are you a Baptist?" And the other guy said, "I am a Baptist." He said, the first guy said, "How about, are you a Southern Baptist?" The guy said, "I'm a Southern Baptist." And they continued on this way, looking at very, very specific distinctives that would narrow increasingly, their relationship and what they might finally agree or not agree upon. And this went on for like 10 or 12 of these little statements, just getting finer and finer points. And finally, they couldn't agree on one thing, and they looked at one another and said, "Heretic!" And that's kind of what has happened of late. So, in spite of all of that, I want to encourage you, as people of the UU tradition, not to throw the baby Jesus out with the swamp water of evangelicalism. This morning I want you to consider Jesus. And no, this isn't a subversive evangelical pitch to get you to say the sinner's prayer. In spite of all the increasing pathos and tragedy in my relationship with evangelicalism over the past decade, I find great solace, wisdom, challenge, and direction from considering, for me, the example of Jesus. There certainly are other great spiritual teachers, and I strongly believe, to bastardize a great quote from Lin-Manuel Miranda, that truth is truth is truth, wherever it is found.
Right.
There's an interesting sort of counter movement within large evangelicalism, although as noted, most of these people were probably voted off the island a few years back by a lot of evangelicals. It's called the Red Letter Christians. The Red Letter Christians. If you have any familiarity with the evangelical tradition, you may know that a lot of Bibles are printed with the words of Jesus, which are all, of course, in the New Testament, printed in red, so that we know, okay, well, Jesus said that, Jesus said this, Jesus said that. And these Red Letter Christians, which was started by an older evangelical who's probably 10 or 15 years older than me, named Tony Campolo, and a very young evangelical by the name of Shane Claiborne. These two got together, and the old and the young, and they've been joined by many other women and men and non-cisgendered people since. And they created this group of Christians committed to the ministry and example of Jesus. And that's the Jesus that I grew up loving in Sunday school as a little boy. The one that reached out his hand to the oppressed and the marginalized, who encouraged his followers to take care of widows and orphans, the oppressed, the alien, the stranger. That's the Jesus I came to love. So let me offer some scenes that highlight the continuing value of Jesus as an example for me. And again, I'm not saying these need to be your examples. I want you to find examples in your tradition, even your EU tradition. Jesus, who defied tradition and custom to speak with a woman drawing water from a well in Samaria. Okay, thing number one you need to know, this was a woman. This was a woman. And still today in ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities, and there are a lot of Jewish folks who resist this, but still true today in certain parts of the Jewish community, men awaken each morning to pray 3 statements, one of which is, "Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who did not make me a woman." So there's that. But most of all, not only was she a woman, but she was a Samaritan woman. Almost always, observant Jews would walk miles and miles out of their way to avoid going through Samaria which was the most direct route between the southern part of what we now call Israel, in Jerusalem and its broad environs, up to the northern part in the Galilee region. Jerusalem's very arid and dry, and the Galilee is very fertile and kind of the breadbasket of that nation and the Middle East in a lot of ways. But Samaritans were a mixed race population. They were descendants of Assyrian men who had either intermarried or simply had their way with Jewish women. And if that sounds at all to you like the stories of countless African slaves and their descendants and the 2+ centuries of life in the American colonies and eventual nation, I think it should. Samaritan was the N-word of Second Temple Judaism. Samaritan was awful. It was something terrible. Jesus, who also told the story of the Good Samaritan, a man who came to the aid of a person who had been robbed on a highway that was notorious for attacks by bandits, after both a religious leader and a political leader had ignored this victim. So here's another Samaritan that Jesus tells the story of. But one more thing you should know. This rift between observant Jews and Samaritans was truly a historic grudge, given that Jesus lived in the 1st century and the Assyrian period was in the 8th century before the Common Era. So we're talking 850 years of grudge holding and bad blood. That's a long time to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
And clearly the descendants 850 years later were not the people who had been party to the initial grudge match. And given that Samaritan, as you now know, was equivalent to the N-word, this story was scandalous and incredibly challenging to its audience. It was not particularly well received to the folks that Jesus told this story to. Another little glimpse of Jesus. Jesus, who reached out to a Canaanite woman north of the Galilee in what is now modern-day Lebanon. This is a really tough passage to explain for the fundamentalist wing of evangelicalism that insists on a very wooden, literal reading of the Bible. First of all, if you thought that grudge match between the Jews and Samaritans was old, wait till you hear this. The Canaanites were living in much of the entire biblical landscape at the time of Abraham, who most scholars place somewhere around near 2000 BC. And though Abraham seemed for the most part to make peace with these nearby peoples, by the time of the Battle of Jericho, which most scholars place around 1400 BC, the Jewish people who had recently escaped their own enslavement in Egypt were fighting battles with the various tribes that had settled in the region of what had been known previously as Canaan. So this Canaanite woman comes to Jesus up in Lebanon, in that region, and she cries out and says to him, "Have mercy on me. My daughter's sick. I hear that you have some incredible ability to heal, among other things." His disciples wanted to just shoo her away. This was, after all, a woman and a Canaanite. And Jesus cryptically answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." What does that mean? She threw herself at his feet then and cried, "Lord, help me." And he answered, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, "Boy, I don't know. It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." And she replied, "Well, even the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." And Jesus said, "Wow, what great faith. Be it done to you as you desire." and the text reports that her daughter was immediately healed. I'm not entirely sure healing is the point, and I think this text illustrates one of the things that's wrong with a very wooden, literal reading of the Bible. I can say the same sentence to you a couple of different ways and have it mean almost the exact opposite depending on my tone of voice, my body language. And I can imagine Jesus talking to this Canaanite woman with a wink and a smile and saying, boy, I don't know, you're a Canaanite woman. She also mentions, Jesus does as well, he mentions the dogs, and there are different words for dogs in the text. Most of the New Testament is written in the Greek language. And the dog appears in English several times, almost everywhere. It's a certain kind of dog. It's sort of a wild, ornery, mongrel type dog. And here the word that Jesus uses is that of a small, lovable pet. Your pet dog. So there's a lot going on here under the surface that, you know, that strict reading without any inflection, without any tone of voice, without any understanding, without even knowing some of what's going on in the language, misses. And I love Jesus' response. Wow, what great faith. This year, I want to challenge you to dig into the lives and the wisdom of the great spiritual teachers. Some of them you probably know, others you may not. I encourage you to seek them out this coming year. How do you know they're great spiritual teachers? Well, I'm just a little old evangelical, but I've got a couple tips. First, what were their intentions? What were their intentions? What was their self-stated mission statement? Second, were they inclusive? Did they reach out to women when that wasn't cool? To Samaritans when that was dreadful? To Canaanites? Don't necessarily look at their followers, please. Don't necessarily look at their followers. Look at them. Read their words. Consider their lives. And then, maybe the most important thing, does that teacher from whom you're seeking wisdom invite you into a story greater than ourselves? Thank you.
Okay, Russ. You had me hook, line, and sinker when I first met you 7 years ago, and I'm going to continue to keep you close at hand, okay? Thank you. It's a wonderful message, truly. I look forward to, hopefully, if you'd like to, again, stay around after service today, talk with Russ more about what your thoughts are, how you might be widening your circle of faith to be inclusive of the many faiths that are out there. That's what Unitarian Universalism is all about. We don't have just one, we follow them all. So thank you for your interpretations, really appreciate it today. We're going to move into our offering at this point. Tubi is going to play some music as we pass the basket. And I'm going to ask if maybe Fred will help on this side, and Catherine, would you help on this side? Tubi, I know you're going to play some music, but I just want to remind everybody, we have a community partner, which is SOS. Do you want to share anything about SOS, or should we just say SOS?
I have something special.
He wants to say something special, short, right? Okay, come on. SOS is one of our community partners for this month, the community partner.
It is our community partner. And I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that there is an opportunity, if you feel the calling, to be a volunteer at SOS. It would be a tremendously rewarding a part of your life. If you would like to know more about volunteering, check out the website.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to my script. So we do. We have two offerings. One will be our community partner SOS, Sayusla Outreach Services, for those who don't know, from people from Minnesota. Bless you for being here. Sorry about your Vikings. Sorry about my Packers. Go 49ers. But we make an offering to SOS, and we make an offering to our particular fellowship. We are self-guided, we are self-funded, we don't have any other way to survive except for the generosity of the people in this room and those who make a pledge of financial support. Now, as we pass this basket, I also want to share with you, it is not an expectation that you give every single Sunday that you're sitting here. Some can give, and they will, and we appreciate that. But if you can't, for whatever reason, there's no judgment. As you receive the basket, and before you pass it on to the next person, just shower it with a little bit of your love. Pass it to the next person and let them make their decision. And we will be grateful for your love, and we will be grateful for your financial contribution. Does that make sense? Yes. Tubi is going to play some wonderful music, but before we begin that, I want to just make sure that people at home know that if you'd like to make a contribution to FOOF or to SOS, you can send us a check payable to FOOF, mail it to P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, or visit our website and click on the donate button, and that will direct you to your own credit card payment, and it will then funnel down to us. And you can tell us how much you would like to go to our community partner and how much to this particular fellowship. So before we enjoy this music from Tuvia, we'll pass the basket to one another. I ask that you repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Enjoy the music. Oh, SOS over here and FOOF over here. We have two particular places. Bless it with your love. Thank you, thank you.
Let's come together with strength and unity. Let's come together, you and me and we, hand in hand in harmony. If it is to be, it is up to we. La 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 la. Let's come together with strength and unity. Let's come together, you and me and we, hand in hand in harmony. If it is to be, it is up to we. If it is to be, it is up to we.
It's so nice to have some musicians among us, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we've done it again. We've had another fabulous Sunday service. First of all, I thank you for your generous offering, your love, your cash. is all very deeply appreciated and goes such a long way. I'm going to ask Catherine if you'd come forward to extinguish the flame as I offer these closing words by Andrea Hawkins Camper. May we see all as it is, and may we see all, and may it all be as we see it. Say that 3 times. May we be in the ones, I need bifocals. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. For if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge. To be the living embodiment of our principles. To be about the work of building the beloved community. To be a people of intention and a people of conscience. Blessed be. We are now done, except I invite you all to stand and form a big circle around the chairs. If you'd like to hold hands, please be respectful. Maybe somebody doesn't want to. And just gather shoulder to shoulder. We're going to sing our peace song. The words are on the back. We invite you to sing along as Tuvia plays. And we'll give Diana and Ashley a few minutes. Get up, girls. Come on, keep moving, keep moving. Move, move. Move. All right, we're going to sing the peace song. Tuvia's going to lead it, and we're going to start right now.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was made.